Hi.
Hi.
We're live.
Hi.
Here we go. Slightly different setup. So we're both evenly lit. Continuing to test out all my live streaming equipment.
How are you today, my friend?
I'm okay.
Hi, Doza.
I'm all right. We got Doza here right at 3 o'clock. How you doing, Doza? You want to show your drawing that you did? Let's turn this baby on. There you go. Oh no. Let me
Wow. Okay, Doza says he likes you better on the left side. Is it because that's like his better side or my better side?
in the split screen?
Yeah.
Was I on the left side last time?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think this is
Joe. Hi,
all
Joe.
right. Joe. Joe is here.
Wedding Joe.
Oh, nice. What's up, Joe? Right now I put on this little drawing that Jess did before the stream.
Here, I'll draw everybody who's joining us.
Yeah.
Nicole went home. She went to
New Jersey.
Oh, wow. Right. Damn, I forgot what Doza looks like. It's been so long. Okay. What up, man?
What's up, everyone? Just kind of warming up here, getting
Oh, he's way taller than me.
getting some iPad action here.
Sorry, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. All right, so this is Doza.
And while you're doing this, let me,
With your new COVID hair.
well, so Jess had told me that it's better if you directly message people with the live stream and they'll actually come versus just making a Facebook post and throwing it up to the algorithm.
Here
And then
these-
most people see the post after we've already gone live.
All right, these are Doza's arms
Whoa,
because
look
he's a
at that.
bodybuilder.
Holy crap.
And bodybuilders have like tiny legs, right? All right, so here's Doza. Okay.
Doza's over there in the corner of this drawing.
Okay, and I'll draw Joe now. All right, do I have to do a different color?
No, that would be racist.
We're all the same. We're all the same.
Doza likes the drawing better than in real life.
All right, Joe has like short.
Short hair.
Yeah.
Does he still have short hair
Oh, fat. Yeah.
in these uncertain times?
Yeah, Joe. Do you still have short hair in these uncertain times?
How's your haircut game going?
I can't see my chats. All right, so here's Joe. He's got Vans on.
Vans. He's a Vans wearer.
He's a Vans wearer. Yeah.
Does he wear? So the only pair of Vans that I owned were white Vans that I purposefully got dirty because I liked.
Oh, you're one of those like
the dirty Vans looks.
The cool vibe.
He wears clean Vans.
His Vans are always very clean, and he has seasonal
Seasonal Vans. So
yeah.
different Vans per quarter.
Basically, he has like an outfit for every season. These are his like jazz hands.
Jazz hands.
Yeah, he's
nice.
a very happy guy.
That's a good drawing.
Thanks. Looks just like him, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, how long is your?
Yeah, I gotta.
Joe says he needs a haircut, so there's Joe.
He's got longer hair. Short hair game is. Oh yeah.
All the dudes up in this.
Yeah.
looking
Doza's
all
hair looks pretty
raggedy.
accurate.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I went to art school. So, yeah, this is my attempt at making this logo on Procreate.
So we got the opening illustration. We were taking, well, we just posted this up yesterday and we were trying to take some topics on what to talk about.
Yeah, I can pull those up.
Well, what are some warm-ups to the real conversation? I don't even know what the real conversation is actually.
So, I wrote bagels.
Bagels. So this morning we took a little drive out to, is that
Switch over to this way so that I can.
okay? We took a little drive out to Bensonhurst to pick up some bagels at your old neighborhood bagel stop.
Mm-hmm. Called Tasty Bagels.
Tasty Bagels.
On 86th Street.
Bensonhurst, shout out.
Yeah, I guess.
Very delicious.
Yeah.
Good bagels.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we were talking about bagels for a while, and in James's neighborhood in Williamsburg, for those who are not from New York, Williamsburg is like the hipster, like central part of Brooklyn. The closest bagel spot was, I won't name it, but
It's not going to be a glowing review.
no, I got a mini everything bagel with lox and cream cheese. It was $11. And they gave me one piece of lox and one like tiny schmear of cream cheese. Schmear. So I was really upset, and we ended up driving out. Normally it's like a 40-minute drive, but because there's no traffic now, it's about 20 minutes. I drove out to our old neighborhood and got like a million bagels for our freezer. And I could draw it. The cream cheese was like this thick, which is how it should be.
Yeah.
So we were pretty happy today. Just kind of sat in silence after eating the bagel.
The thing I like about these uncertain times is there's no traffic.
Yeah.
Like, because to get from Williamsburg to Bensonhurst, you have to take the BQE, and there's normally always traffic.
It's usually like a 40-minute drive, yeah.
Yeah, but straight driving. I mentioned this, but like, so I grew up out in Long Island, and you know, you have to take a car to go anywhere, and to drive out to the bagel spot that I would go to out in Long Island probably take a similar amount of time with no traffic going from Williamsburg to Bensonhurst. So it kind of felt like, you know, just doing my little morning drive to get my bagel out in Long Island, but we're in Brooklyn.
Morning drive. It's a casual morning
going
drive.
From Brooklyn to Brooklyn, 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
But they were pretty delicious. They're good bagels.
I mean, it's been a while since we've bageled.
Yeah.
So
since we coffee meets bageled.
Oh, he met him on Coffee Meets Bagel. He's my everything bagel.
Oh boy, here we
guys.
go. Oh my god, here we go. Okay. So we got bagels this morning. Bensonhurst is delicious, tasty bagels. If you're ever in the area, highly recommend it.
I'm gonna draw a bagel while you talk.
You're gonna draw a bagel. Mm-hmm. Okay. Get that thing loaded up. We gotta get the most use of it because I set it up.
No, hi Grace. I do not drive independently, and I've been practicing driving since I got my license. By the way, I got my license when I turned 30 because in the city you don't ever really need to learn how to.
You put the camera on.
Oh no!
You got to see the mess that's right behind me with all my camera equipment.
Oh no!
Let's hide that for a minute.
Okay, how do I technology? All right.
Do you know how to use an iPad? Are you all set?
I'm all set.
Okay. You had the camera on and showed my mess that's right behind me of all my wires and camera equipment.
But no, I don't drive independently yet. And also, if I did, James wouldn't let me drive his car at all.
I'm very protective of people driving my car. I don't even let my best friend drive my car.
Like if everybody was drunk, or if James was drunk, and
that's
like
the only way.
You would? I imagine.
I mean,
I'd make everybody like stand in the side.
I'd consider leaving my car where it is and taking cabs home before letting someone else drive my car home. Especially if I get to the point of being drunk.
Wow.
Then I don't think anybody else is sober enough to drive.
Mm-hmm. Is this the best brush for this? But
although you have driven your parents' car independently.
Yeah. I had one day of practice, but yeah, I'm like kind of driving. I'm a little more confident, not on highways yet. But we ended up switching our car out, and I got a Subaru.
Yeah.
Sensible adult vehicle. But I got it because it has all these safety features that tell me when I'm about to die.
It tells you when you're about to die.
It's like, hey,
you're switching
getting
lanes
into another lane.
You're about to switch lanes, and it says, "Hey, you better think before you."
Just like that. Yeah. It's my Boobaroo. So that's like the furthest extent. But you know, practicing in like Whitestone is very different from driving in the city. It's just a lot more calmer, and people are just nicer drivers. So if they see you struggling, they'll slow down for you, rather than like trying to, like aggressively, like put you in place.
Yeah.
So it's a little less stressful.
Mm.
So I had an everything bagel.
Everything bagel. Should I go back to this? It didn't look like.
It didn't look what? What didn't it look like?
It looks like a banana.
Wow. Right? Mad harsh. Oh my god, guys.
Banana.
So rude.
That's a bagel.
Yo, calm down, right? I have like a process. You're stressing me out.
Rushing you here on a live drawing.
Oh, hey Peter, my brother's here. Yo, FKN's in here, yo. They're making muffins. So my brother, by the way, my brother and his lady have been baking like monsters. They've been our main like carb.
We've
carb
been
dealers.
benefiting.
Yeah, we've been benefiting.
They've been
hard.
baking, and we got some potato croquettes the other day from
Yeah.
them. It's delicious.
Mad good.
We tried baking recently.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. If you want to call it that.
We're trying to follow the craze of everybody baking stuff, baking bread.
Yeah, we tried
So we
making focaccia.
Yeah, we got some yeast from Peter, Jess's brother, who's here in the chats. He made
Petey.
made some focaccia. It's pretty good, maybe a little bit on the salty side, but
It's not thick.
it's a learning experience. I'm sure everybody, the nice, beautiful breads you see that people are posting on Instagram, I'm sure the first one is like ours. It didn't turn out that great, but
I
it
hate
looked
baking.
beautiful.
I hate baking. It requires like way too much precise. All right, look, check out my scallion cream cheese. This shit is fire.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's looking much better now.
doesn't look like a banana anymore.
It looks like the appropriate amount of cream cheese that should
Oh.
go onto a bagel.
Agreed.
New York bagel.
Yeah, right. Doza says that people are just posting stock photos. All right.
Oh, I didn't. There's. I can't even describe it, so I'm not going to bring it up. There's like this article that was going viral about this all organic eating woman who wrote about people should stop baking bread, and she got
Why?
roasted on the internet.
What was her? Oh, I put a tomato on it. Damn, what the fuck is that? I put a tomato.
Is that lox?
Yeah, that pink stuff is the lox, and I'm
Okay.
trying to get the appropriate tomato.
So, yeah, I don't really do lox. My brother does. A lot of people do lox, but when it comes to bagels, I'm not really a lox person. I'm just straight up egg bagel, vegetable cream cheese. That's what I had this morning. It was very, very good. If you don't know about egg bagels.
Okay.
Egg bagels.
Egg bagels, son. That's all you need to know. If you don't know, you know now. Egg bagels, son.
All right,
Wow, this looks like a hamburger.
a bagel burger.
Anyway, all right. Are you guys having
right.
fun watching me draw?
Let's go
I'm
back
not
here.
done, yo. It's all right. It's all right. But how's everybody doing today? One of the questions that we got earlier, one of the topics that we got earlier were favorite restaurants. So maybe we can do that as a
Favorite
warm up.
restaurants? Yeah, I mean, I guess we're kind of getting into it because we were talking about some bagels.
Yeah.
It's Jess's favorite bagel place.
Yeah.
Favorite restaurants? I think when we were driving to the bagel place, we were just talking about how we miss dates. And getting onto the BQE, we passed ME Squared, which is pizza. I guess it's Chicago style pizza. I guess that's sacrilege to talk about that in New York.
Does Chicago style pizza just kind of mean it's like a pie?
It's a little bit
like
deeper. This is more of like a crusty. It's like a Sicilian square style pizza, but Emmy Squared, kind of missed that. I mean, we only went there once. That was our like third date, but that place is really good pizza. But on the way there, we were talking about how we miss having dates, and one of the places we normally go to is my favorite Japanese restaurant in the city, which is Utoya. If you've ever been to Utoya, it's a great Japanese restaurant. There's the one that we go to is on 18th Street and like 6th Avenue.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like
it's
close
between
to-
6th and 5th.
Yeah, it's close to Union Square.
It's right next to Adorama.
Yeah, if you've ever been to Adorama, the camera store, it's like right down the block from there. Very delicious Japanese food. So I'd say like of all the places in the city, my go-to is Utoya, and it's not like sushi Japanese. It's like homey
plates.
Japanese. Yeah.
What do you usually get from there?
I forgot the name of it, but it's like a steak. It's like a steak and onions dish, and it's really, really good. And then so if you've ever gone to Ikanari, you know how, well, if you ever go to Ikanari and you eat a steak there, they have like a whole like bowl of wasabi. And I think it started at Utoya when I started like trying wasabi on steak. and it's so good. I'll do that now. Like if I like buy a steak for myself, I'll like also go to the sushi section and buy a little cup of wasabi,
Oh, interesting.
and I'll like cook my steak and then have it with like a little bit of wasabi. Highly recommend it. It's so good. If you haven't tried that before, I highly recommend trying wasabi with steak.
I'm not the biggest fan of like the wasabi spice, but I guess that's similar to like horseradish and steak because sometimes they marinate the meat.
I guess it depends. Like when you use wasabi, you have to like use like a really really tiny amount, but it like really, I don't know. For me, it does some magic to the taste of steak.
You want to show them my finished
I almost
masterpiece?
fell on the table. I was like leaning my
Smooth, babe.
elbow and I like fell over.
Mad smooth.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Right.
That's looking mighty fine.
Does that still look like a banana to you?
1 out of 10. What do you guys rate this drawing of bagel? I give it a booming 7.5.
All right. All right.
I mean, if you added like some shadows and
Shit.
you get up to like 9. I want like a still life painting here.
Okay.
I'm asking for a lot.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, I don't just give out 10s like left and right, you know.
Wow.
Not even for you, Jess.
Wow.
4. Peter gave you a 4.
Wow.
Merlin's here. What's up, Merlin?
Hey, Merlin.
Is the bagel toasted? Because that will affect the points.
It is toasted.
Do you like your bagels toasted?
I do because not all places do bagels right.
That's true. Yeah. So toasting a bagel is a good way to mask not so great bagel.
I gotta draw the other people that are here.
I typically I like the taste of a toasted bagel, but I hate when like the cream cheese melts and like as you're eating it, it just like falls out of the bagel.
I like my sandwiches a little sloppy.
So I'm not a fan of like melting cream cheese falling out of my bagel. So I almost prefer if you get like a really good bagel, it doesn't need to be toasted. It's like fine coming straight out of the water if it's like a fresh bagel. You're adding more people to our drawing here.
Yeah, all the people who are coming
Whoa.
in.
Is that a shirtless Peter?
Yeah, I guess all the times I'm drawing my brother now, he's gonna have nipples. It's just all right. Who else is in here? Merlin. I'm just kind of drawing to warm up because I think
let's see what
both
others.
James and I like we're
well, what's
fine,
your
but we're
what's your
awkward.
favorite restaurant? You didn't answer
my
the
favorite
question.
restaurant.
New York City restaurant.
New York City restaurant, like Manhattan. I mean, I tend to go to a lot of my favorites are these like kind of more mom and pop kind of places.
Mm-hmm.
There's this Afghan spot in East Village that I go to a lot called Khyber Pass. It's like, I mean, the food there is hit and miss, and a lot of people either know that spot as like a hookah spot or the weird place that's in between the Two Brothers pizzerias.
Yeah.
But they have like that was my first foray into Afghan food and like Middle Eastern food, and I think it's more of like a nostalgia thing for me because I went there in high school. Like, you know, we used to get the rose chai tea, and my friend got like a tattoo across the street, and we used to just kind of loiter and people watch for hours out there. So I still go there mostly to people watch, but their food is like, if you get them on a good day, their food is like banging. It's really good.
Yeah. So when it comes to like going to restaurants, how much is your ranking of a restaurant based on ambiance? Or I group in nostalgia with ambiance versus like the food itself and the service.
I mean, I think that kind of depends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's a really hard, because some places like Yemeni Cafe, for instance, in like downtown Brooklyn, like they feel like a cafeteria sometimes, but their food is so good that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Most of my places are like pretty small. And like feel like they're run out of home. There's this one place I went to. It's an Uzbeki spot in Brighton Beach in Brooklyn. And Uzbeki for people who are not familiar is like Korean Russian food, right? So like when Koreans were kicked out of Korea and they fled into Russia, and they took, you know, it's like the Istan places. So it's like a hybrid of Korean and Russian food. And this one spot in Brighton Beach was just like straight up some like Russian grandma's living room. Like everything was like pink, like formica. There were like black leather couches with, like that vinyl on top.
Yeah.
Lots of boisterous families running around and kids running around. And that was like awesome experience.
What was the name of that spot again?
I think that one was actually Cafe at Your Mother-in-Law.
Cafe
That's
at Your
literally what it's
Mother-in-Law
called. It's
is
called
the name.
Cafe at Your Mother-in-Law. My pen isn't working anymore. All right.
Pen is not working. Oh,
All right,
I wasn't
forget
even on the iPad.
No, it's okay. I was trying to draw Merlin, but it's not happening. So I'll pay attention
Pen is
to
not
you
working
now.
anymore.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll pay attention to you now.
Okay.
It's over. It's over.
iPad session is over.
Okay.
Draw warm up is over.
All right. Cool. So yeah.
I like so there's a place that you take me to the Italian spot.
Oh yeah.
Prince Street.
Prince Street. It's called Il Corallo Trattoria on Prince Street between Thompson and Sullivan. They're like, I don't know, their pasta is just. I'm actually not a really big fan of pasta in general, but if I do have pasta, I go there.
Yeah, it's very good. When I went there, I got like the squash truffle ravioli.
Butternut
thing.
squash
Yeah, that
ravioli
was
with
mad
sage
good.
butter, with brown sage
And it was really
butter.
funny how they had that random Korean
pickle dish.
pickle dish on the menu.
Yeah, there's a menu item on their like fully Italian menu, and it doesn't even explain it in just tiny like Korean characters on the bottom. It just says like this, and I couldn't even read it. So I asked them what it meant, and they just said it was like it's like pickled cucumbers.
Yeah.
It's like pink pickled cucumbers.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure why it was there, but then a friend of mine told me later that in Korea it's a pretty common practice to eat pickles with pasta.
Yeah. That's interesting. Like, is it like a palate cleanser or?
It didn't add value to me, so I'm not really sure.
It felt like, because when I ate it, it felt like it didn't match.
Yeah, it wasn't like the
pasta.
same vibe.
It was kind of like there out of like respect to something. I don't know.
I think just mad Korean. Every time I go there, there's mad Asians up in there, so
Yeah.
it's just like a secret Asian spot, I guess.
All right. So those are some of our favorite restaurants. What else do we have here on our list of things to?
I guess we wanted to. So I know we're kind of awkward right now, but that's just how we warm up. Maybe some updates on how things have been since last week.
Yeah.
Oh, Yumi is the one that told me that people eat pickles with. Thanks, Yumi. That Koreans eat pickles with pasta, and she says it's to balance out the taste. But I guess I'm curious, what is it necessarily to balance out? Because it's almost like mixing cold with hot to me.
Yeah.
It's like a very jarring.
Well, like when I think of
olives or something.
when I think of like pickles to like balance out, like if you have like a really salty dish or something, or like a meaty dish, you need to cut it with like something acidic.
Like Korean fried chicken with like the vinegar, like the pickled radish and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I guess. Some updates on our end. I've been hanging out on the fire escape a lot because I'm trying to stay indoors while the weather is really beautiful. So yesterday I stayed out there for like 6 hours almost, I think. I went out there at like 11 o'clock and came back in around 6 with a couple hour breaks in between.
And you said you were going to do like a video explainer on how to
maximize your fire escape.
How to convert your fire escape into a
bougie ass mini balcony
to a nice way to experience the outdoors without leaving your home.
Yeah, so that people can stay the fuck inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cute change. I also started keeping a daily log, which I've actually been struggling to keep up, but I've been trying to just keep a daily log because I'm like forgetting what happens. Like time has a weird stretchiness lately, and I'll forget like something that happened yesterday. I swore it happened 3 days ago. So I'm just keeping a daily log of like new things, things I ate, what the weather was like, what the mood was like, and trying to keep it short and sweet.
Yeah.
That's something new.
And I think we mentioned this in a past live stream, but we had the disposable camera just trying to capture random things because we feel like this is
disposable cameras. Yeah.
This is a time that I think it would be interesting to capture and remember. Like, remember when this happened?
Yeah.
What were all the things that we did when we had to stay home? And
yeah, it's pretty historic. It's like a historic, life-changing, like it's a global experience that I think I just want to remember. So so in the disposable camera we have photos of like when we hung our underwear up laundry up in like the bathroom and
Yeah.
the fire escape and stuff. And
Oh, that reminds me. So the other day I did all of my socks.
mad socks.
Laundried all of my socks because I was like running out of socks, and I decided to just do all my socks. And then I actually tried to utilize the laundry line going out of my kitchen window.
Yeah.
And then when I was like trying to use it, the little like wheel that
Because it's like 100 years old.
it was like disintegrating.
Yeah, I'm realizing that actually not a lot of people are familiar with the whole laundry line thing. Like, it seems like they're more specific to those tenement style like railroad apartments that you live in and that I grew up in.
Yeah.
Where like one room leads into another, leads into another. I was looking into the history of it, and it was like a standard for a lot of like lower class housing back in the day. And some people had it like they strung up their own in their backyards, but it comes with houses that are like older tenement style buildings.
Yeah.
So most of James's unit, like all the units on his block, are of that tenement style like layout. So almost every single backyard on that stretch has these laundry lines just crisscrossing in the backyard that nobody's really used before now.
Yeah.
And that line is like 100 years old. It's like black. There's crust on it.
Yeah, it's pretty dirty.
Yeah, but
some of my
used it
socks
growing
got
up.
some dirt on it when I hung it out there,
it's
but it
like
worked.
ancestral dirt. Yeah,
It worked.
Yeah, cool.
I think that would be good for like if we ever do bigger stuff like towels and bed sheets,
and
because
stuff.
that stuff will not dry or will take forever to dry if we
We just don't have space to hang that
hung it
up.
up. Yeah.
So one of the topic suggestions that we got, actually, if you guys can actually help us with some tips too, was how to stretch essential supplies. Like, how are we stretching essential supplies and items during these uncertain times? These uncertain times. So, and I guess I'm curious, Peter. Peter's the one who submitted that question. But if there's like specific things that you're curious about. We are changing our pillow sheets, all right? All right, calm down. But yeah, I don't know if I know that like since this started, I've been a lot more conserving of like paper towels and like I used to I used to just
I used to
one
just
paper towel
every
for,
time
like,
I wash my hands, paper towel. Yeah, but now I actually go to my like towel and we also have a
we
towel
started using towels.
by the sink that we just dry our hands off instead of just using up so many paper towels.
Dude, my mom, she still like washes paper towels and like lays them flat to dry so that we can reuse them.
Yeah.
And I don't just be like, but now if I see a paper towel, I'll like try to look for things to use it before I throw it out. And that's like a very new thing for me. 3 squares of toilet paper per poop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, the thing with the paper towel, so we ran out of, like, I normally have Bounty, and then we just decided to get the grocery store brand, and it's awful. It's
like
awful paper towels. I miss my Bounty. I'm not supposed to say brand names.
Yeah, we have to try to do like copyright. Hi Lillian, by the way. Lillian messaged me. She can't comment. But yeah, apparently her mom does the same thing. And that's the thing. That's actually been what's really interesting about this whole thing. I talk about it all the time, but like a lot of the things that I used to make fun of or like be a little bit embarrassed about being like, my immigrant parents or acting so like, immigrant by like washing paper towels, saving foil, folding it up and having like a foil corner. That like there's an image that, cutting paper towels in half, like the rolls of paper towels in half to keep them longer. Like I used to make fun of those things, but I find myself stepping into that knowledge now and like doing the same thing now or finding impulses to do the same thing. And almost like thanking them for just having grown up in that environment so that it's second nature to me.
Yeah.
It just made me like get really kind of meta and cerebral about my childhood experiences growing up and how grateful I am for that. When I cut your hair, we talked about this last time, like the bowl cuts my mom used to give me. My brother Peter wants me to talk about why it's important to take your sneakers off when entering a home.
Well, I mean, that's always been important for Asian households.
Yeah.
But
especially now.
I mean, I get queasy, like even before this whole thing, I got queasy like watching TV and like, people in the house just like walk all over their houses with
couch ads, we like were looking Joybird or Voyagered, right? So like, there was this couch ad where it's just like some dude like casually like lounging on a couch and
With
just
his shoes
with his
on.
motherfucking shoes on, with his beeping shoes on.
I mean, all the sitcoms you watch, I'll watch those and be like, they're walking in the house with their
They
shoes.
get in bed with their shoes on. I mean, for us, it's just general not tracking in outside stuff.
Yeah.
But I think especially now, during like these uncertain times, we take our shoes off and we spray the bottom of them with Lysol.
Even though we don't like wear it all over the house.
No, yeah, but just to kind of like keep because there's understanding that germs settle on the ground and that you can be tracking that into your own house too.
Yeah.
But also just like fecal matter and
Yeah, like if you think about
soil.
even without COVID or whatever, like
Yeah.
if people in New York City you're getting on the subway, and
Yeah.
all the nasty shit I've seen, like I've seen people laying on
You just
the
might as-
chair like puking all over
Yeah.
the floor.
You just might as well rub the bottom of your foot in like a butthole.
Yeah,
and
so
then bring
like
it home.
you're walking on top of all that crap,
Yeah.
and then if you're gonna
Putting
like
it
walk it all over your house with that stuff, like
on your couch.
I can't imagine if you like put one of those like lights. I don't know. Is there like one of those like
the black lights.
Does fluorescent lights pick up bacteria or whatever? But I'm sure if you did that on your floors, you'd see like the craziest type of shit like all over your house if you wear your shoes indoors. So
Yeah.
it's pretty.
Yeah.
To even think about that, it's like nasty. Like what you could track into your house.
I don't know if black lights pick up bacteria.
I don't know,
they
but
pick
if
up,
there
like,
is
body
something
proteins.
that picks up, and you were to like look and see how much bacteria was on your floor,
Yeah.
it would be pretty nasty.
Yeah.
I'd
I don't
say.
know why it's only like Asians that take their shoes off, but lifestyle.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. You want to just
Other stuff we've been doing.
other stuff we've been doing?
So we started watching a show on Netflix.
There's two. There's a couple of shows we started watching on Netflix.
We watched Middleditch and Schwartz.
Yo, I've been telling everybody about Middleditch and Schwartz, and I don't think they like get it. I don't think they really understand.
I do think that like improv is a specific, like you need to be into a specific type of humor to like
I guess.
enjoy it. But like when I was growing up, I really enjoyed Whose Line Is It Anyway, and I
Yeah, I
like
like
kind of
Whose Line.
miss those types of shows.
Yeah.
Like just to see how someone will react on the spot. But Middleditch and Schwartz is like hilarious.
For folks who aren't familiar with Middleditch and Schwartz, I didn't know until somebody recommended it to James, but it's just two dudes doing live improv in front of an audience. They ask an audience member a question about something they're like looking forward to or dreading, and based on what information they get from that, they do like, how long is it, like 30 to 45
It's like an
minutes?
hour.
Yeah, like they do a skit around it, and it's just two people acting out like multiple roles, following the rules of improv, which is like any scenario presented, you have to do a yes and like you have to follow along. Oh my god, but I don't know. I also think they have really good chemistry together, and it's like just I don't think we've laughed that loud at a TV show. So I highly recommend it. It's only 3 episodes. It's so I've been texting people, like I texted Joe out of the blue. But it's mad good. We also just finished binge watching Dave on Hulu.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Little Dicky. He's a Jewish rapper. He's like a comedic rapper. So the 2 songs that I've heard from him, one was like a trap song about saving money, and then the other one was called Pillow Talk, where he's like, the music video is funnier than the song, but he's like sleeping with a girl and she's like kind of dumb. So his brain and him are having like an argument about whether or not it's worth kind of going forward with this. But he created a show centered around him as himself becoming Little Dicky and like getting famous. Everybody plays themselves, like famous people are in it. It's like I don't know what else to compare it to. Like Atlanta maybe, but no, Atlanta, he doesn't play himself in Atlanta. I don't know. It was very funny.
It's hilarious.
It's so funny.
It's funny.
We
It was like
binge-watched it.
it's like outrageous at first, and then it's just funny.
Yeah, you don't know what you're getting into, but they also get like deep. So it's not just like slapstick humor. Like they talk about very real topics. And they find ways to, Kevin Hart was one of the executive producers. Like they find ways to really like integrate some real life topics into just outlandish humor. So
Yeah,
it's
I know.
pretty
Like
good.
it starts off very slapstick, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh wow, this is
Yeah.
so ridiculous. And then like later on, there's an episode that you're like, oh wow, that was like,
That was deep. Like I have
yeah,
feelings.
yeah,
Yeah.
really really good shows.
Yeah.
Highly recommend them
Cool.
if you're into that.
Wait, weren't we talking about stretching out essentials really
Yeah,
quickly?
we were.
My
And
bad,
then we got
dog.
into shoes.
Yeah. Okay, what else? I've been washing my Ziploc bags.
Yeah. I have a difficult time washing them. It's like hard to navigate a sponge on the inside of a Ziploc bag.
I mean, I also just grew up watching my mom do it. But you know, you wash the inside and then the outside, and you have to like. But it's really just I just like forget how much I use Ziploc, especially now that we're meal prepping. Like we're stretching out a lot of our food essentials by prepping a lot of things in advance, like soups and meats, like marinated meats, and then we flatten them on a Ziploc bag, and then we freeze them so that they're flat, and then put them in the freezer like a filing cabinet, basically. So most, you know, especially since we have to cook so much now, like it's really easy to do that because you just have something you can thaw out and just cook, and you don't have to marinate. You don't have to do it from scratch unless you want to. But I've been using up Ziploc bags like crazy. So instead of having to keep going to the store for them, I've been washing them. Shout out to my mom. So that's another way that we've been stretching out essentials. I feel like we don't have to hoard as much. So I don't know if we've been doing that as much.
We're not like saving every piece. Like we're
Yeah.
definitely not portioning out.
Yeah.
We're like eating well. We're not like stretching out food.
Yeah, this also again makes me think about like there's like maybe 75% of people I know who have immigrant parents. Like they tell me that one of their parents is a hoarder. And this is like a very real reality for so many people. And like I'm just like kind of thinking about where we are now, how it's like no, save that half of a, you know, extension cord. Like we're going to need it. Right. And there have been times where my dad would like, you know, finagle wires together and duct tape it shut, and we'd all of a sudden have like a working machine because he just hoards like random things like garbage that he finds. But we're kind of in that realm too.
I mean, my family.
Those is reusing toilet paper. Might as well just use a rag.
I mean, my dad in particular has like always kind of overbought stuff like whenever it's on sale. And when this whole thing hit, like, you know, they had like toilet paper and paper towels in the garage,
like 3 years
and
worth.
like a bunch of 2-liter bottles of soda. And
Nice.
So, when you think about that immigrant mindset of like, you know, hoarding stuff, but for the sake of like, you never know when you're going to need it, or like, you know, this thing was on sale, so you better buy it when it's on sale versus, you know, when times are tough and like people are price gouging.
Right. When they're price gouging, or they're buying they're hoarding and they're buying all the stuff out. Like our household, we are already a little bit germophobic, and we buy like multi-packs of Clorox wipes, and so we had some of that going in. We didn't need to search for that.
I was so happy because I bought like that 3-pack of Clorox wipes for the studio, and like when this whole thing went down and Clorox was just sold out forever. I had 2 extra containers here because we were running low.
One way we've been trying to actually save the conserve the Clorox too, though, is like for countertops and phones, for instance. Like we spray Lysol onto a paper towel. We spray Lysol onto a paper towel now. So little things like that. But I don't know if y'all have better tips than we do.
I luckily had the Lysol spray as well. I had like 2 bottles of it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Are we warmed up?
I guess so. What is
lubricated?
What's our? Are we shacked up?
Are we stressed on? So one of the things. So there's 2 questions, but I guess we can. I think one thing I wanted to ask, kind of as like a transition. I don't even know if it's an appropriate transition. So this is something that we were talking about, like this week, kind of, which is what is something that you didn't realize you loved about New York that much until you started to miss it, right? Like I think that's just, you know, especially after being home for so long, I know that we all miss bagels and we all miss like takeout and hanging out with friends and stuff, but like I think there are certain things that are very New York City that I might have taken for granted before this. We were driving around, and you know, I know for me, I talk shit about people a lot, but like I really love like the energy of having tons of people in the street. And
Yeah.
like whenever I go, even when I go to like LA, right? It's such a spread out city where everybody drives, and I miss just engaging with people.
Yeah.
And that's something like, especially New York City spring, where like everybody wakes up and the air is just so like ripe with possibility and whatever. Like everyone's out in the streets and they're laughing. When I was sitting out in the fire escape yesterday, everyone had their windows open and you can hear everyone laughing inside of their house.
Yeah.
And it just like, it just rings out in the street. And that was just such a beautiful sound to me. And I didn't realize how much I missed that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we were talking about this, and I was talking about how I like kind of miss people watching.
Yeah.
Like just walking around, or even if you're just in a coffee shop and you're just like see two people talking or like arguing, and you're like wondering, or like making up a
Eavesdropping.
story.
Yeah.
You can't hear what they're saying, but you make up a story about what could possibly be happening, or you just see like some weird interactions at a park, and you just kind of, sit there and you just make up stories for people that you see. Like that's something that I kind of miss, like just, walking around and like just seeing people interacting and like,
Yeah.
kind of making stories up in your head about what could potentially be going on.
Yeah.
And then I also told you I think I said this in the last live stream, that I missed my subway commutes, where I just get my ideas while commuting to work.
Yeah. And the routine around that. And I don't know if if you get this in Rockland County, which is upstate.
You're revealing where he lives.
All right.
I'm just
He
kidding.
lives above the Bronx, right? Which is upstate. And I actually, when I do go out of the city, people are generally nice, and they say hi to you in the street and have conversations with you, which in the beginning I thought was very strange. But I think something else I really loved about New York is like being able to fall into deep conversations with strangers. I don't know if that happens to you, but that happens to me all the time.
I don't really.
Oh, you don't like make eye contact with people?
Yeah, I
You don't
go
engage.
from point A to point B.
And then come back to point A.
No distractions in between.
I frolic. I stay frolicking. So
Not
I'm just,
very conversational either. So
yeah.
yeah,
Maybe you have like RBF.
I have resting stank face.
Yeah. But I don't know. People would just turn around. Like I was at a diner once, like having a conversation with a friend, and some person just randomly turned around and was like, why would somebody just leave you in the middle? And we're just like, all right, I'm gonna run with it. And we just had this like deep conversation with a stranger, or like, people helping each other without like acknowledging, just be like, yeah, no problem. Just like we're a city of just like assholes in a way. Like I know that we have a lot of attitude, but there's so much just interaction and kindness that you get from just being thrown into each other's like narratives every day that I really miss. I just feel like I'm living in a suburb right now.
Yeah.
Trapped in a house.
Well, I mean, if you think about this, you're basically taking New York City and like just taking the soul out of it, which like the reason you're in New York City is because you're in close proximity to so many different types of people. And that's why it's like kind of the center of the world, because this is where trade happens. Like the reason businesses stand up in New York City is because like you don't have to go, like everybody is here, that if you need to take meetings with people of different companies that are international, like they all have an office in New York, and you're basically taking all of that and saying like, all right, the close proximity, the fact that like all these different types of people are here together in one place, that you could take these meetings without having to travel. You're just taking all that away, and you're basically like gutting New York City with this. So it's just very interesting, like to have stayed in New York City throughout this time. I know a lot of people, like if you have family, like I know a lot of people that I work with, they're like not really from New York. They're like transplants from like Ohio or from like Connecticut, or like, and so when this whole thing went down, everybody basically went home and like left New York City. I was actually thinking about this. It was like kind of a joke that I was thinking to myself the other day, but it was like, how do you know that you're a New Yorker? And it's like, you decided to stay in New York City during COVID. like because a lot of people who live in New York now are like from other places, and like there's always that question of like, when do you officially become a New Yorker?
Like when you call it home.
Yeah. And it's like, some people who've only been here like, for 5 years, some of them could actually like, represent New York more than other people, while other people are different, where they could have been in New York for 10 years, but they'll never like embody the heart of a New Yorker. And I was just thinking about this the other day, where it's like, what's a true test of like whether or not you're a New Yorker? And the question is, did you stay in New York City when like COVID happened?
Yeah, okay.
Like that's the thing that I'm thinking about because like all the people that I think about that were transplants from other states and
They
stuff,
have the option to leave.
they're all back home in like their
Yeah.
states. They all like got the fuck
So
out of
it's
New
just like,
York.
you know what? I know that we've got the highest cases here, but you're my, it's like staying in a shitty relationship.
Well, and you think about like the real New Yorkers are the people who are like living and working here, and they don't have any other place to go to. That they
Right.
had to stay here, and they don't have like a vacation home, or they don't have family like
Yeah.
that lives in a different state that
I
they're
think
running away to.
I think what fascinates me so much about, because I've never left New York, right? Like I was born here. I've never imagined living anywhere else, and I think the idea of just leaving everything you know, like everything you know, all your sense of safety and security and identity, and just starting new in a completely new city where everything's like a little bit tougher and more expensive, and you have to, like that fascinates me. That like I find that so impressive for people to have just like, okay, no, this is my new life now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have the courage to do that. So I find that that's kind of a tangent, but I think that's like a really fascinating part about people who come here and choose to call this New York and like find little things to fall in love with, because it is like, I think it's really tough to love New York unless you curate it for yourself.
Yeah.
Like you have to decide what New York is, but there's always something here for you once you know what that is.
It is what you make it. And
Yeah.
when people like say like, oh, like New York City, like New Yorkers are assholes, I don't think it's so much like, if you like actually talk to somebody from New York, like, and you see some of the stories of like what New Yorkers do for New Yorkers, like they're
Yeah.
very loving people. I think it's more about like, just don't get in anybody's way. Like if you don't like the quote that I always say is like, if you don't know what you're doing, like get the fuck out of the way.
It's very New York.
And I think
of
that's
you.
like a very New York thing because
I
it's
like
like,
to help people who don't know what they're doing. And I'm also from New York, sir. So
yeah, I guess that's the asshole New Yorker. But it's like, I mean, generally they're pretty nice. Just like don't
no, they're dope.
get in their way if like, because like, you know, in New York people are always on a mission, like they have some sort of goal, like everybody's like on the move because they're like working or something. So a lot of people are trying to get from point A to point B, and they're probably late because of the subway or whatever. So like, just, you know, if
Time just moves differently out here.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
that's my advice to anybody who's like ever visiting New York, if you don't know where you're going, like, you know, just stay to the edges of the sidewalk, like
Yeah.
don't stay in the middle of places that's
Yeah.
like the main artery, and like people will be nice to you, like
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about
Yeah.
people being assholes.
Yeah.
Just
I find that transparency like a relief. Like you don't ever have to worry about what people are thinking. They're just very transparent and
Yeah.
expect you to be transparent.
I think that's like what people love about New York is I like the thing that people always talk about is like, you know, you could be crying your eyes off in the subway, and you know, like in other places, like everybody will be like looking at
my
you and
God.
like, oh, is everything okay? But like, you
You
know,
get anonymity here.
yeah, New
Like,
York doesn't.
Everyone's cried in public in New
Yeah.
York at one point.
And then also New York, you're free to be whoever you want to be, and
Whoever.
nobody's gonna judge you, and
Yeah.
everybody's gonna be like, oh yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
Like, so you could do whatever you're free to do, be you, and
Yeah.
do whatever you want, and nobody's gonna judge you for it.
Yeah, there's always room for your narrative here, and everybody just because we've heard all of the narratives and we have so much openness for other narratives. There's just, you don't have to be like homogenous, homogenic.
Homogenous.
You don't have to be homogenous to have a home here.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a very nice segue into one of the topics that we got, which was about our perceptions or predictions about returning to normal, whatever normal.
What is the new normal after all of this?
After these uncertain times. But yeah, and I don't know if you guys want to, you know, throw your predictions or concerns or curiosities in this, because again, these are a lot more fun when like we're engaging with you guys.
Yeah, I'd like this to be like a conversation, because I don't like, I have an
I'm sick of
idea.
talking to you. It's not true.
I have like my own idea of like
Yeah.
what I think the new normal is going to be, but I don't know, it should be a conversation.
Yeah, but we were talking about this in the car this morning. Wait,
Yeah.
can you guys hear me okay? I know I moved back. Can you hear me okay?
I think you'll be fine.
Okay. But yeah,
So, all right.
what are your predictions? I feel that my thoughts are that we're not going to return to business like thriving streets until after July, but I'm also recognizing that the nicer the weather gets, the more we're going to try to stretch our idea of isolation and safety.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, we were talking about this in the car, and I was telling you that like, at some point, we're all going to have a like
Oops.
a heart to heart with ourselves about how comfortable we're gonna be to like start putting ourselves in public spaces. Like each individual is gonna have to, face that conversation with themselves. It's like, all right, just accepting that you're gonna have to go out and interact with people, and that you're gonna have to expose yourself, and like what level of comfort are you gonna be with that based on your own situation? Because I know like you're very sensitive because you don't want to pass anything on to your parents. Whereas like other people, like I'm like not like I haven't physically like seen my mom. I still like talk to her like every other day or so.
Yeah. It's different for me because I moved back home.
Yeah.
So like I need to engage with my family for like mental health, which I know isn't like a norm, but I've become very accustomed to like being plugged into that kind of exchange and love as like a
I think at some point each individual is going to have to like come to a conclusion for themselves about am I okay going out and like being in the public. But I think no matter what, everybody's going to have to be wearing masks. And if you're not, like, it's going to be that reverse shame. Like before this whole thing happened, people were shaming people for wearing masks, but now it's going to be opposite. If you're not wearing a mask, people are going to be like, dude, come on. I think there's gonna be capacity rules, like more. When you go to like restaurants and there's like always the fire safety, like you must
20, like 200 maximum.
I think
right?
that's gonna be something that people are going to be very strictly held accountable for. Like, and it's gonna be a much lower number as far as like how many people you're gonna be allowed in specific places. I think that's
all right, folks.
definitely was an internet thing.
Yeah, we're I'm not sure who's still in here. Hi, thanks, Doza. Yeah, we're. Sorry, folks. Okay, we're back. We're back. Hi, Belinda. Welcome. The stream did cut. We had
like
connectivity issues.
Internet hiccup at the studio.
Yeah. Grace said it works fine for her. But I think, Grace, you might have also been a little bit lagged.
Let me try it.
Okay. No, it looks like we're back live. Thanks, guys, for being patient. I think the thing about live streaming is trying to figure it out. Hi to James's mom. Hi. But yeah.
Okay.
I
think we're back. We had a little bit of a hiccup with the internet connection in the studio.
Yeah. I think timeline wise, I don't know.
Oh wait, I think so. We were talking about what normal is.
The new normal, like what our predictions were going to be for the new normal. Is that what?
Yeah. So I think where I left off was that I was talking about. I don't know if people know this, but Apple and Google are like working on a joint effort on like an app.
Contact tracing.
Like some sort of contact tracing app that's gonna end up being like installed automatically by default on every single person's phone. It's voluntary usage. It's gonna be there if you want to like use it, but it's gonna be voluntary.
It'll be just pushed as a phone update, I guess.
Basically, the idea is that like if somebody does get diagnosed with COVID, it's going to alert like all the people who've voluntarily opted into this app to tell you that like, hey, you came within 1 meter of a person who got confirmed infected with COVID.
I think that's fair.
I feel like there's going to be some sort of future that like I feel like there's going to be, even though it's going to be opt-in, I feel like businesses at the door, you're probably going to have to show them a screen saying like, I'm good. Great. Like I'm green. Like I haven't interacted with anybody who's like had COVID within 14 days or something. Like I feel like something like that is going to be like a real possibility, that in order to go into a movie theater or to like go, I don't think movie theaters are going to come back for like another 2 years or something like that. But like to, go into a restaurant, go to a coffee shop, like at the door, you might have to like verify, like showing a screen on your app saying that like I haven't like come within 1 meter of a confirmed COVID person within 14 days.
Yeah, I'm a little torn about that, mainly because I mean, I've been hearing updates about how Korea has been handling it, and they have like a tracing app. Like if you're If you fly in, they make you download an app. They make you put in your information. They check your temperature. You have to enter in your, you volunteer the information, but you have to enter in your temperature every day. If your phone gets turned off or they can't find your location, they call you. And if they can't get in contact with you, they send the cops. But it's like that, but it's a little bit different in Korea, where there's a little bit more of an understanding of this, like, this is my collective duty and I submit to this authority.
I don't think something like that would fly, because that's like the overreach of government.
I mean, yeah,
basically.
but that's, what, how else? Because if so many people are, asymptomatic, right? But I think, when it comes to the new normal, I'm not really sure what that would mean as far as privacy goes, and as far as discrimination goes. I know that Doza mentioned it as a joke, but it just opens a Pandora's box where we can't rely on society to regulate itself. So what does that really look like for a nation like ours?
It might be just accepting that, at any potential moment you could get it.
Of course.
Like the flu.
Yeah. I know for me, I think a new normal for me would be cringing a little bit at, like, group interactions. Like, I look at all these photos of back in the day of, like, concerts and mosh pits, and like, every time I watch TV, I'm, like, conscious of when, like, people are, like, putting their hands in each other's, like, eyeballs and mouths and stuff, and it like just drives me nuts now.
I used to be I used to go to bars and stuff all the time, but, like, after this, I don't think I would ever, like, I'd more opt to, like, having people over for drinks versus going to a bar for drinks. Like, even when I'm at bars, like, I don't even know if they clean the glasses, like, diligently. It's just kind of like they just put the glass in, like, a thing that swishes water in it, and then, like, it's back in rotation, and it's like all that, like, even before this stuff, like, some of that stuff kind of queased me out. It was like, I don't even think, like, the glasses are thoroughly washed when they, like,
Yeah. And for me too, it's like, again, this is like my mild germaphobe. Hi, Aileen, by the way. Good to see you. This is like the mild germaphobe part of me too. But if a bartender, for instance, like, hands you a glass and their hands are, like, touching the top of the thing, like, I was always a little bit mildly aware of that kind of stuff. I don't know if people were prior to this experience where they have to understand, like, the science of how germs travel. I know that it's like a really big understanding in, like, the Korean culture, for instance, that you get sick when you get cold, right? Like, if you go outside and it's cold out, you're sick because you were cold and then you got hot suddenly and your inner temperature is, like, competing. But it's like, my understanding is that you touched or was in contact with somebody who was sick. So, I'm hoping that our understanding of basic science is going to be the new normal, and, like, basic hygiene is going to be the new normal. Maybe not at the high anxiety state that it's been for me. Like, I get a lot of anxiety now going outside, which wasn't normal for me. But
I mean, I used to be very careless about, like, not washing my hands and stuff. Like, all my friends will tell you that, like, I'll do a class pass and then, like, I'd be the last person to wash my hands. But now I'm like, I've changed. I think it would be good. It's for the better. A lot of people are going to be more conscious of spreading themselves than they were before all of this. So
I always wonder a little bit if like, wide scale catastrophes or crises help people shift a little bit more into the collective mindset. I think for me, I have, like, a very love-hate relationship with a collective mindset, especially when it comes to, like, mental health and things like that. But I wish, for me, that there was some kind of balance, right? Like, there's so many benefits to collective mindsets that we overlook here. And whenever things like this happen, where, I'm hearing these awesome stories of, like, cafe managers stopping by all of their, previous employees' houses with groceries just because, right? Like, there's a part of me that always wishes that lingers more after the crisis is over. There's, like, a very small percentage of people that I got to interact with every day that, like, volunteered their time for the greater good just because they wanted to, and there's something inside of them that told them they needed to. And a part of me wishes that little speck inside of people will just get bigger. And that we don't have to be, like, a socialist communist country to just be kinder to each other. So hoping that's a...
I mean, I agree with that. I hope that all of this stuff, like, when people go out into the public and do things, that it's not just, like, what I have to do that goes in their mind. It's like, all right, who, like, people are going to be now more aware of the people around them and what they're doing, but also, not suspicious about what they're doing, but also like thinking about like how are my actions going to impede on like, all the people
Yeah.
around me. So I think that might be like a good thing that might come out of this and the new normal after
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. And of course, we're talking about the general public and not like the protesters and, the faction, the
God.
part of America that won't. And
Yeah.
we won't bring that into here because I'm sure that news is all over everyone's feeds and stuff. And we don't need that kind of negativity in our
No.
lives.
Yeah, we're trying
But,
to
yeah.
bring a new perspective
Yeah,
onto
just
this
trying
whole
to keep
thing.
a little bit more positive and have like a hopeful outlook in humanity. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like those are some good things that are going to come out of it. Yeah, just people being more mindful of other people versus like, all right, I have to do this, then fuck everybody else around me. Like, I'm just going to do this thing. I don't care like how I get into other people's ways. But yeah, I'm hoping that, people are going to be more mindful of each other out in the public.
What is your thoughts on timeline, especially since so much of your friends are working in the medical industry, and they see a very different reality than we do, right? Like,
It's definitely different, but when you talk about New York versus like other places,
yeah.
because New York has so much more cases, so much more.
We're also just a
like,
much more compressed place.
yeah,
with
the
no
nature of our
backyard.
city is like people compressed in like trains and stuff just to get from point A to point B. Like the city does not operate unless people are traveling within close quarters and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So I think that like it's right that, I mean, states that don't have that many cases like should reopen or whatever like earlier than New York, obviously.
Yeah.
And all my friends are nurses here in New York City, and like I think it's more important for people in New York City to stay in, and because of the nature of how the city operates. But I feel like we probably would be we're probably gonna have to, like, at least non-essential people should be staying home like up until like September. I'm like thinking that they're gonna try and plan to like get some sort of normalcy when the new like school year starts back up again, so like beginning of September.
Yeah.
That's kind of my guess, is that we're gonna be in this like lockdown, some sort of lockdown state, whether it's like some businesses starting to reopen, but like we're all like, if you don't need to be out, stay home. Like that state is gonna be here until end of August, I think.
You're essential to me, Doza. He just said, I'm not essential. And I think it takes so much self-control, I think, to remind yourself of that, because the other day, I had a situation where we were giving a piece of furniture away to a friend, and we did like as much of a contactless drop-off as we could. But me and another friend, so me, this friend, and another friend, we're a pretty core like group. So we decided to do a social distance visit. And it was, I think what was really interesting was that it made it harder to stay in after that, right? Like we maintained distance from each other. Like I kept my mask on the whole time. We were very conscious as much as we could be about, we didn't like cough in each other's directions or anything like that. But, droplets move while you're talking and all that. But it almost felt like safe. It felt so easy to be able to do that again, especially when the weather was beautiful and you want it so badly. But I had to like yank myself back. Like they were able to see how visibly anxious I was. Like I was so anxious just being outside, especially in your neighborhood where it's just people don't give a fuck and they're all like out in these streets.
Yeah.
But it still made me visibly anxious to be outside. But there's a part of me, especially as it gets warmer out, that's going to want to ease some of that anxiety.
Yeah.
And I know that that anxiety was like full force at the beginning of April when we were talking about the peak and how we just wanted to at least ride the peak out. But what does interaction look like post peak? Right? I know that we're always in the threat of having another peak, but
I feel like we're like within weeks of like this other conversation with ourselves of like, when can I start like seeing my friends? And I don't know, I know a lot of my friends are nurses, so it's going to be a lot harder to be like, yeah, like let's meet up, because I know that they're like exposed to COVID people, but like if you and your friends are like not nurses or whatever, and you know that people are really diligent with their own like hygiene.
I can't be.
I
That's my
think
problem.
I know you can't, but like I think people are going to be having this conversation with themselves within the
Right.
next few weeks of like, all right, can I hang out with that friend if we're able to maintain social distance? Could we like get a group of 3 or 4 of us together? Like I think those people are actually asking themselves that question
Yeah.
today, saying like, all right, next week, like I miss my friends, like could I just hang out with another friend? We could just like meet up at the park and like
Yeah.
sit.
Especially if the two of you have been isolated for more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you
right?
know that they're like really good about
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
hygiene. You know that they've been doing nothing. They're not like the people that are like
Yeah.
going out like where
Yeah.
in like parks like every single day where they're like exposing themselves to a lot of people, or like
Yeah.
taking the train regularly.
I'm gonna say that spring will be like the adolescence of our quarantine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if you compare this to having very strict parents who tell you that you can't sleep over your friends' houses and you can't wear this because I said so and blah
Yeah.
blah blah. But let's say we are reaching our like you don't know me mom stage where we kind of like start to explore the world to see what our boundaries and our safeties are. Like
Yeah.
there's a part of me that 100% I will, like the New Yorkers over here are going to be like, nah, I need to touch the stove to know that I get burnt. So this is just where we are now.
Yeah. We got some comments here. So a lot of asymptomatic people out there. That's true. Did anyone read about COVID-19? So I read about the COVID-19 toes. Have you read about this?
I did, and I also want to be careful that this doesn't become like a full episode of just another person talking about the things that we see
Yeah.
about COVID online. Yes, I've heard about it. Yes, I've heard about the outlier symptoms. Yes, I've heard about all that, and it just I'm just gonna
Yeah.
1 minute time limit because I don't
No.
know.
Well, I mean, so I was thinking about this the other day, and it's the whole thing with asymptomatic people. But the thing is that and I think this goes along with the conversation we were having before, where it's like you're only as safe as like your least mindful friend or person that you
Yeah.
come into contact with. So just being conscious of that, and that like the people that you do want to hang out with, that you're like itching to hang out with, like you're only as safe as like how
The least safe person.
as the
Yeah.
least conscious
Yeah.
person. Like if you have if your like least conscious person is out there licking subway poles, like
You need
you're
new
as it doesn't matter how safe you are, you're only as like safe as that person. So I think that's just like kind of the rule of thumb that I like when I have that conversation with myself about like, all right, like can I hang out with my friends? Like that's going to be a thought that goes into the back of my mind. Like, I'm only as safe as
Yeah.
it even goes beyond that. Like what is their like least safe friend? And
That's hard to predict, and that's really where
Yeah.
a lot of the anxiety comes from, where it's like I know for instance that my brother is like hyper, like he's out there every day because he has to work in the city, but I also know how like neurotic he is with just sanitizing on a regular basis, right? Like he started the habit of my mom handing us a can of Lysol so that we Lysol our clothes. Does it work? I don't know, but he's
Yeah.
taking those extra precautions. And for me, I'm like, wiping down like light switches and the door locks and like the sink faucet. So like I know that between the two of us, we're doing everything that we could. So when we see each other, I'm not as anxious. But I do have friends that are
you're like talking past. Continue.
but I have friends that for their own reasons, right? Like I think the level of safety also extends beyond like if you know somebody who's working in the medical field, then you get how the reality.
Yeah.
If you if you don't have health insurance or your family members or etc., then it is what it is. I'm gonna set our boundary now, and
Yeah.
maybe we can talk. I also want to check the time. It's a little bit past 4. Maybe we can do like a non-COVID.
Well, I guess
cool down.
so the topic was going back to normal. Like, what is the new normal
the
after
new
this?
normal.
So,
What would you love? What's the first thing that you think you would want to do?
I just want to hang out with my friends.
That's
that's why I was like kind of steering that conversation to like having that conversation with yourself about
Yeah.
your safety with wanting to meet with your friends. I'm like at that point now where I'm like, all right, like I want to start seeing my friends.
I mean, everybody's like that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just setting you have to create the boundaries for yourself about like, all right, what are if I do want to see my friends, what are the boundaries I need to set? Like, all right, like let's meet out at a park, but we're gonna like stay 6 feet apart. And like I think some people have been doing that already. Like I know my cousin lives close by in Williamsburg, and you know when she takes Samson out for a walk, we walk with her around the
Yeah.
block, and like
Yeah.
that's how we hang out. But
Yeah.
we're maintaining distance. We all have masks on and stuff like that. So I'm just like itching to just
Yeah.
like, especially for the friends that I haven't seen in a while and we're like family. Like I just want to like, you know, be together.
You just need that love exchange. It's like a recharging, necessary action, and that I think what's been the hardest. I wanted to say that I actually think a new normal. That one thing that was really made me happy to see is how much stuff actually did move online. Like, I think so much of the rhetoric before this was like, okay, well, I can't possibly make this won't work online. Like, you know, in certain nonprofits, like, you know, work from home isn't like an option. You have to come into the office. Or
Yeah.
with my workshops, I was like, there's no way I can make this online. And we've been figuring out ways to make it work. A lot of people, you know, online therapy, like before wasn't really a welcome thing, but now it's like an understood reality. So I think the veil between what we're able to and not able to do digitally has shifted and lifted. So that's something I think that has been really beautiful.
Yeah.
And like the capacity to work from home has been pretty beautiful.
I think along that thread, like this whole thing kind of fast forwarded,
Oh, yeah.
like future, like, so when I think about, if you ever watch like movies that like try to depict the future and like in some of the dystopian things, like when I think about, because I really miss sports. And like, you know, people are talking about like what's the new normal when sports come back, and it's like, oh, they're probably going to be like, you know, live athletes, but they're going to be playing for like a digital crowd of like,
That's
you know,
crazy
screens
to
of
me.
people.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that is something that's more close to becoming a reality. Like imagine watching a baseball game and you're like, they just have like screens set up around
Yeah.
thing, and anybody could like tune in and like
Yeah.
cheer for whatever. Like I feel like something like that, like when you watch it in a movie, seems like outlandish and far-fetched, but like something like that feels more real.
Yeah.
Like as a result of this.
Yeah, I think we
which
just
I
got
think
shifted
is like,
into a new like a new timeline where
Yeah.
we're fast forwarded into, we're 2020 now. So like all the jokes from 1986 talking about like, oh, the year 2020 is going to be a futuristic. This is it. We're here.
yeah.
And what else I'm hoping about a new reality is that we actually really freaking understand how like hardcore valuable like grocery store owners and maintenance workers and folks that have to work now, like we fucking thank them like all the time. Like,
I hope the money goes to where the appreciation
of
is.
course, you know, but I just mean like, you know, even small steps of just like saying thank you and tipping. I tip grocery store like clerks. Like if I have change, I throw tip into their jars just because.
Yeah, when we
you know.
order food to get delivered, I tip way more than I've ever tipped.
Oh yeah,
previously.
exactly. But I think that's, if you've ever worked in the food industry, like people who've worked in the food industry are just like, that's, I have to tip 25% no matter what.
Yeah.
If you've ever, you know, had a parent or like a family member who, or like, you know, a lot of the times grocery stores are family run businesses. Once you really see like the shit that they would do for you, like what I'm hoping is that like they become a part of our actual reality a little bit more rather than just like our servers. So that's something that I definitely hope would be a part of the new reality as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I what about y'all? I don't know. I feel like we should start wrapping up a little bit because this can easily go on. Like when James and I talk, we tend to like kind of, we have these like 2-hour conversations. We can ramble really easily about like anything and everything. So I want to be mindful of everyone's time.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's see if anybody has anything to talk about, and then if not, then we could wrap this up.
Yeah. You want to do an AMA? What should the next topic be?
I think, I want to get, like, ahead of the next topic, because
Yeah.
we're always kind of, like, scrambling, where we're like, oh, we want to do a live stream tomorrow, like, let's get some
Yeah.
topics to talk about.
But if you
And I
guys
think
have
this
any
was...
thoughts,
It was good that I think this was kind of like the COVID thing that
Just
like,
get it
because
out
I
of our
don't
system.
like, I think in the previous ones we wanted to avoid talking about it.
Yeah.
And I think
We started this live stream. Sorry to cut you off, but we started this live stream because I was just so tired. We were tired of just talking about COVID and it being everywhere, and we just wanted to have this like fun conversation that was very COVID free.
We still want to get in touch with like the deep philosophical topic type of stuff.
We talked about fear and failure once. We talked about productivity in the past and got pretty deep about that. One of the topics that we have kind of, that was suggested was how do we balance work and play? Is that
that was for today. I think Doza suggested
topics today. Yeah. Talking about balancing just like personal interests and work life, especially for entrepreneurs. I think that would be pretty interesting. We joked about talking about love after lockdown.
Love
like
after.
What relationships
kind
of look like.
That's the name of a reality show.
Oh, okay. Love post lockdown. It's a reality show about, relationships after jail, but I think it's been really interesting to see how like the direction relationships have been going lately. So that's like a cute topic. I know people have been like shacking up. People have been cohabitating together, which changes dynamics a little bit. But yeah, if you guys have any curiosities, just ask us anything kind of stuff about things to talk about in the future.
Directly if you have a topic that you want us to talk about. I think we both have very interesting philosophies on.
And we're not just saying that because we find each other. I'm not just saying that because I think you're like cute, right? Like,
oh boy,
you're very intelligent and cute.
All right, I think we should wrap this up.
Okay, all right. But yeah, we're just gonna wrap this up. I'm getting hungry.
Jess is getting hungry. We're gonna go get some food. Enjoy this beautiful.
Thanks so much for joining.
This beautiful Sunday. It looks like it's really nice outside. So let's enjoy some of that sun before it goes down. Peter says ew. All right.
Bye. Bye, folks. Thank you for joining.